Namutira Manichari Namunatira Manichari Gabihari Opigalaba Hari Pigalaba Hari Jayanandana Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. My Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter 18, take 6. Saha Tudyamanaha Hari Durukta Pamarai Angshtagra Gam Gam Upalaksha Pitam Todam Mrishan Niragat Ambumadyat Graha Ahataha Sakarinuhu Yata Ibaha Sujamano Durukta Tomarai Angshraga Gam Gam Upalaksha Bita Todam Mrishan Niragaram Bumadyat Grahata Sakarinuyate Baha Tujamano Ridurukta Tomarai Angshraga Gam Gam Upalaksha Bita Todam Mrishan Niragaram Bumadyat Grahata Sakarinuyate Baha Tujamano Ridurukta Tomarai Angshraga Gam Gam Upalaksha Bita Thoram Rishaniragaram Bhupadyat Aha Hatasa Karinuyate Baha.
Todam Mishaniragad Ambubudya Ambumatyat Grahahata Sakaranur Paha.
Satudhyamano Viraruktatom Harar Damshragragam Gam Upalakshya Bhitam Toram Risham Niragaram Bhumadyad Graha Hatasa Karanhe Nuyate Baha Karanhe Nuyate Baha.
Satudhyamano riduruktatomar damstra gragam gam upalakshabhitam todam rishani ragadam bumadhe graha hatasa karenuryate vaha.
सातुत्यमानो त्रितुरुक्ततोमार संस्त्राग्रकं काम उपलक्ष्य भीताम् तो तामृषा निरगादं पुमाध्यात् ग्रहाहता साकरेणुर्यते भः.
Satal Yamanori Tomarai Damstragya Gam Gam Upalaksha Bhitam Todam Rishandiragar Ambumadyad Graha Hatasa Kiranuryateba.
Verse
Hare Krishna Mataji, you can check if you like.
Satudhyamano riduruktatomare
Satudhyamano Viruktatom Harar
Tamstragragam Gamupalakshibhitam
Damshagragam Gam Upalakshabhitam
Todam Rishaniragadam Pumadhyat
Todam Risham Hiragadham Bhumharyad
Graha Hatasa Karaneru Yathebaha.
Graha Hatasa Karinoyate Baha.
Satudhyamano Rividuruktatomare
Satudhyamano Viruktatom Harar
Damstraga Gam Gam Upalakshabhitam
Damshagam Gam Upalakshavitam
Todamrishan niragadam bhumadyad.
Kodam Risham Niragadham Bhumadhyad
Graha hatasa karanu yatevaha.
Rahatasa Karino Yateva Saha Hi Tudimana
Body of the enemy, to rupta by the abusive words, Tomarai by the weapons, Dangsha Agra on the ends of his tusks, Gam situated, Gam the earth, Upalaksha seeing, Pidam frightened, Todam the pain, Rishan bearing, Niragat he came out, Ambumadyat from the midst of the water, Graha by a crocodile, Ahataha attacked, Sakarinu along with a she elephant, Yata as Ibaha and elephant. Translation. Although the Lord was pained by the shaft-like abusive words of the demon, he bore the pain, but seeing that the earth on the ends of his tusks was frightened, he rose out of the water just as an elephant emerges with its female companion when assailed by an alligator. Purport.
The Mayavadi philosopher cannot understand that the Lord has feelings. The Lord is satisfied if someone offers him a nice prayer. And similarly, if someone decries his existence or calls him by ill names, God is dissatisfied. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is decried by the Mayavadi philosophers, who are almost demons. They say that God has no head, no form, no existence, and no legs, hands, or other bodily limbs. In other words, they say that he is dead or lame. All these misconceptions of the Supreme Lord are a source of dissatisfaction to him. He is never pleased with such atheistic descriptions. In this case, although the Lord felt sorrow from the piercing words of the demon, he delivered the earth for the satisfaction of the demigods, who are ever his devotees. The conclusion is that God is as sentient as we are. He is satisfied by our prayers and dissatisfied by our harsh words against him. In order to give protection to his devotee, he is always ready to tolerate insulting words from the atheists.
There's a discussion about this topic from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, a great expert in Vedic cosmology and philosophy, everything. And he claims that the earth that's being described as being on the end of the tusks taken by the Lord was Bhumandala, the entire Bhumandala, which extends the earthly sphere that is placed about the center of the universe, or Brahmanda. Because you understand that the water from the Garbhodak Ocean, which is where the earth fell into, the earth was submerged in the Garbhodak Ocean. So the Garbhodak Ocean takes half, it fills up half the Brahmanda. And then above the Garbhodak Ocean are the hellish planets. They're in sky. There's some sky there, and the hellish planets are there. And then above that is the Earth, or you could say Bhumandala, with its bottom 7 layers and the other 2. So you have different layers of the lower planetary systems, and we're on the Bhuvar. Bhu, Bhuva, Om, Bhur, Bhuva, Sva. These 3, Bhur, Bhuva, and Sva. These are the 3 planetary systems that the Brahmins glorify the sun god for his traversing. Om, Bhur, Bhuva, Sva, Tatsava, Trivanyam. Are there going around, and the sun is shining in these 3 planetary systems. Bhu is ours, that's the Earth. So if you take the Bhumandala as a kind of a circular, round, but has a bottom too. It goes down to the Rasala and Patala. Patala is the lowest, Rasala is the next. Sutala, Atala, Vitala, Talatala. 7 planetary systems down, and there's ours, middle, and Bhuvar. That's also, that Bhuvar is above in the space. That's outer space for us. Then there's Svarga, that's the heavenly planets. And heavenly planets include the moon and other places. For example, on top of the Mount Meru. Mount Meru is situated in the center of the universe. And on top of Mount Meru, there's some residences of the demigods, the highest demigods, like Indra and Chandra and Yamaraj. They're situated there on top. And that's why it's said that the day of those on the heavenly planets is equal to half a year, 6 months on our planet, because the sun makes a journey around circles every day, 24 hours. On the hill, which is known as, okay, we'll come up with that. It's a mountain that goes around, and it's on that mountain that the sun god, he makes his rotation. And he does that every day, 24 hours. He completes his circuit. But there's 2 features of the Lord, of the sun god. There's the upper, what is the upper name? When the Lord goes up, when the sun, it goes up for 6 months and goes down for 6 months. So as it's going around, it's circular, it's going up gradually. And this accounts for the different seasons. So anyway, one day of the demigods is equal to 6 months on Earth. And they live on the demigod side for 10,000 years. This was being discussed recently in the verses, and how the time factor differs. So you have, in the heavenly planets, they live for 10,000 years, and each of those years is 180 days of our time. So it's a long lifetime. Long lifetime. So when the Earth, the Bhumandala, is so vast, it covers almost the entire space from the diameter of the universe, but not quite. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains there's a verse that he put a commentary, and Prabhupada included that Sanskrit verse. He didn't translate it. He said it's very difficult to translate. But I asked Gopi Puranadana Prabhu to translate it, and he did. And what it says is that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the Bhumandala doesn't extend all the way out to the edge of the universe. Almost. There's a certain period, a certain space that's left open. And the reason it's left open is so that the Bhumandala can go down and up. It can go all the way down into enough space, the Bhumandala to go all the way down and be submerged in the Garbhodak Ocean. If there weren't that space, then the Bhumandala wouldn't be able to go down and be submerged. So he says that when the Lord Boar went down, picked up the earth, and rose it again above the Garbhodak. Otherwise, there'd be no possibility of that. If the Bhumandala went all the way out, or if we take the earth to be just like our little portion, how could it go down? How would it get down to the Garbhodak Ocean? It's a complete, the Bhumandala is solid earth. So that's a little point about this. When the earth goes, and it's interesting to have many illustrations of the boar holding the earth. And many of them show that the earth that is being held is Bhumandala, not just a round circle. Our supposedly little earth. And when it says that the earth, the Bhumandala, or when it says that Ananta Shesha is also connected, because the Bhumandala has its planetary systems going down, and then there's some space. That's the heavenly planets or hellish planet area, and then below that is the Garbhodak Ocean. So Lord Narayan asked Ananta Shesh to hold the Bhumandala on his head. Hold it up. And he asked how long? And he said, till you exhaust describing my glories. So it was a long time, and the Bhumandala was quite heavy. How will I be able to hold it? And he said, okay. Lord Narayan said, I'll appear as the tortoise incarnation. Tortoise means kurma. So kurma, tortoise, he lies on the Garbhodak ocean. He floats. So he's able to hold Ananta. Ananta sits on top of sits on top of the Garbhodak, no, on top of Kurma. Then Kurma, yeah. So Ananta, he holds the Bhumandala, and it says that it seems like to him no more than mustard seed or holding mustard seed. Mustard seed is very small. So that's explained that in Prabhupada, in a few of his translations, he calls it held up, that Ananta was holding the earth, and the weight seemed no more than a few mustard seeds. So that's how he was. Otherwise, you have a difficult time explaining how the earth got into the Garbhodak ocean and how it got out. So Lord Varaha went down, picked up the earth that had fallen down, made it float for a while, then took on tusks, because the tusks of a boar are very good for lifting up things from dirty places. Therefore, picked up from the Garbhodak ocean. He rose up out of the water just as an elephant merges with female companion, when assailed by an alligator. So the alligator and elephants, it seems that sometimes they fight, because the alligator is a carnivore, likes to eat other animals' flesh, or the elephant doesn't eat flesh. The elephant eats grass, tree bark, leaves, fruits, things like that. Doesn't eat flesh. But the elephant goes in the water, takes a bath, and along with the she-elephant, female elephants, maybe one, maybe many. And so the one that's very famous is when Gajendra, the elephant, king of elephants, was captured by the alligator in his mouth. Very difficult to get the alligator's mouth open again once it's closed. So powerful, so strong. Yeah. And when the alligator and the elephant were fighting, sometimes the elephant was very strong. He was able to pull the alligator into the water. No, excuse me. He was getting out of the water onto the land. On the land, the alligator is not very strong. They're not very effective on the land. Generally, they don't attack anybody when they're on the land. They attack from the water, because they're animals of the water. When they bring an animal from the land into the water, the animal on the land animal has a difficult time. Even an elephant, so strong. Well, that's what happened on that occasion. And they had a long fight. But finally, the elephant lost, because he was pulled into the water. And in the water, the crocodile or the alligator gets rejuvenation. And so he wouldn't let go, and finally he won. Well, the Lord came and delivered them. It's a whole pastime. So any other questions? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Are Hellas planets floating in Garbhodaka ocean?
What?
Hellas planets, are they floating?
No, those planets aren't floating in. They're not floating in the garbage. They're above.
But underneath the cone, right?
Under what?
They are not part of the lower planets.
No, they're not part of the lower planets. They're in the sky area. There. Not the sun. The sunshine doesn't go down there. Because it's Gumandala. Sun only goes in those three planetary systems. Bhur Bhuva Swa, that's how the Brahmins chant that. Bhur Bhuva Swa. Swa means the heavenly planets. Svarga. Like in Bhagavad Gita, they discuss Svarga Loka. The Kshatriyas, their goal generally is to be very, very chivalrous and very courageous, and then they go to the Svarga, heavenly pleasures. Arjuna said, I don't care about heavenly pleasures. I don't even want that. What to speak of this earth? Krishna told Arjuna to fight not just for his own enjoyment, but because the Lord wanted it. And then Arjuna changed his mind and agreed to do it for Krishna's pleasure.
Hare Krishna. I have two questions, Maharaj. My first one is, were there residents on Earth at that time when the Earth fell into the ocean?
Yes?
My second question is, when the Lord has these pastimes, like as coming as Varaha and Kurma, what happens to these incarnations when these pastimes finish? Do they carry on their pastimes somewhere else, or do they go back into his original form as Krishna?
I haven't read anything about that. Sorry. But here, you have the Lord hearing although during the purports in the last few verses, we heard how the abusive words of Ranyaksha were difficult to bear because the Lord, he also has his anger and fighting nature. He didn't appreciate the acts, the activities, and the words of the demon, even though the goddess Saraswati and our Sridhar Swami commentator, he points out that actually they were glorification of the Lord. But they weren't meant to be glorified. They weren't meant to be appreciating words. They were meant to be abusive. And so the Lord took them as abusive. And then he fought. He had to put the earth in a safe place. The description is given there to some degree. Not every single. Bhagavatam is, remember, somewhat of a summary of all the Vedic knowledge, because Parikshit Maharaj only had 7 days to live, and that was known to Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami, the speaker, he had to put all the important things of the Vedas into his description of the Lord in somewhat brief. So it only took 7 days and nights to narrate. So therefore, he didn't put every detail of every pastime. They're summarized. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.